No dog deserves to be treated this way. When rescuers arrived at a remote farm, they discovered something that would break their hearts. It was Beike, the same dog they thought they'd saved months ago. But what they found hiding under that rusty machine would change everything. This is the story of Beike, an abandoned dog whose second chance at life was stolen from him. A story of betrayal, survival, and the incredible power of compassion. Today, you'll witness one of the most heartbreaking rescues ever documented, and one of the most beautiful transformations. But before we begin, if you love stories about animals getting the second chance they deserve, make sure you're subscribed. When the rescue team first heard the call about a stray dog tied up and neglected on a remote farm, they had no idea what awaited them. But nothing could have prepared them for what they found. Hidden beneath a rusty machine, trembling in fear, was Beike. His once white coat was now matted and filthy. He had curled himself into the smallest space possible, as if trying to disappear from the world entirely. This was the same dog they had rescued before. The same dog they thought they'd found a loving home for. But the happy, trusting animal they once knew was gone. A deep wound marked his paw. His eyes, once filled with joy, now reflected only terror. When rescuers called his name softly, hoping he'd remember them, Beike backed away, baring his teeth in fear. Can you imagine? Seeing a dog that once loved you, now so broken that he doesn't even recognize kindness anymore? They spoke softly, trying to soothe him. Little by little, they reached out. But the fear was too strong. Beike retreated back under the machine, refusing to trust anyone. What had happened to destroy his spirit so completely? Determined to understand, the rescuers searched for Beike's owner. They called out, looking around the property. Finally, a man appeared, looking annoyed at the interruption. When they asked how he could let Beike suffer like this, neglected and injured, the man simply shrugged. "He's fine under the machine," he said casually, as if Beike's suffering meant nothing. The rescuers were stunned. Beike wasn't fine. He was terrified, wounded, and utterly betrayed by the person who was supposed to protect him. They tried explaining the harm he'd caused, but the man dismissed them. "That's my dog. Mind your own business." The rescuers exchanged a knowing look. They couldn't leave Beike there. Not this time. Ignoring the owner's protests, they took Beike away, knowing they were saving his life. At the shelter, they finally removed the heavy leash that had been crushing Beike's spirit. They hand-fed him, speaking softly, trying desperately to rebuild the trust they thought they'd earned before. But when they examined his injuries, their hearts sank. This was worse than they'd imagined. They rushed Beike to the veterinary hospital. After his bath, as they began to groom him, his injuries became horrifyingly clear. Hidden beneath his matted fur were deep, infected wounds. His neck was severely damaged, the skin beginning to peel away. Multiple wounds covered his body, including a deep gash on his leg, several centimeters long. The infection had spread dangerously close to a major artery. The veterinarian was clear. If Beike hadn't been rescued when he might not have survived another week. Emergency surgery was performed. A drainage tube was inserted to remove the infection. For hours, the team worked to save him. The operation was successful, but Beike was weak. Severely malnourished, his body struggled to heal. On the second day, he barely touched his food. The rescuers wondered, had Beike lost the will to live? But then, something incredible happened. On the third day, the rescuers brought fresh meat and nourishing food. Beike sniffed the air and ate immediately. It was a small victory, but it meant everything. Day by day, Beike grew stronger. On the fourth day, he began showing signs of hope. The dog who once hid in terror seemed calmer when his rescuers approached. In the hospital garden, as gentle sunshine warmed his fur, something changed. When the rescuers embraced him, Beike didn't back away. Instead, he leaned into their arms, feeling safety for perhaps the first time in months. His eyes, once hollow with fear, now softened with a glimmer of trust. It brought tears to the rescuers' eyes. Even the most broken hearts can heal. By the 11th day, his stitches were removed. On the 14th day, Beike left the hospital, ready to begin his new life. 1 month later, Beike was unrecognizable, running freely in the park, playing with other dogs, his tail wagging with pure joy. The emptiness in his eyes had transformed into light. 3 months later, Beike's transformation was complete. His coat gleamed, his spirit radiated life. He was finally home. Beike's story proves that love can heal even the deepest wounds. That abandoned dogs, stray dogs left to suffer, deserve a second chance. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Every subscription helps us rescue more animals like Beike. Share this video with someone who needs to see that hope still exists. And if you're thinking about rescuing an animal, remember, your kindness could give them the fresh start they deserve. Thank you for watching Beike's journey. We'll see you in the next rescue.